Good morning. Anthony DeMello was a Catholic priest, a psychotherapist, but most importantly a spiritual teacher, a spiritual guide, director. And he gathered stories of faith and experience and wisdom traditions from across the world and used them to help people on this spiritual path, this spiritual journey. One of the stories he tells is of a saint who gets around practically naked except for a loincloth and a gold begging bowl. The begging bowl was a gift from the king who was a disciple, and he carried it with him. One night when he was preparing to lie down and sleep amongst the ruins of an ancient monastery, he glimpsed behind one of the columns a thief lurking, hiding. So he called out, "Hey thief, come, take the bowl now and get out of here so you won't disturb me when I'm asleep." The thief, shocked, surprised, rushes out, grabs the bowl and scurries off. And the saint goes to sleep peacefully. The next morning, the thief returns with the begging bowl and a request. He says, "Sir, please take your bowl back. But I ask you to teach me this way of freedom, of relinquishment, of peace that you have. When you gave me that bowl last night, I felt so impoverished and poor before you who have nothing. Teach me this way of freedom, of letting go, that I may know this peace that you have, this life." That is the way of spirituality. It's the way of letting go, of relinquishment. In a world that is obsessed with control, with definition, with holding, with accumulating, with power and material possessions and wealth and prosperity. The spiritual path is one of letting go. It's one of faith and trust and of living into this moment now, most fully and truly. Letting go of the illusions and delusions that we think we're in control, that we think we can own, and that we think we're rich because we have lots of stuff, when our hearts are troubled and stirred and restless. Anthony DeMello tells another story about spirituality, of this seeker, a seeker who finds a circular staircase, and she begins to climb it. And there's enough light to see just a few steps ahead. As she ascends, she has this deepening feeling of dis-ease, unease. And she looks behind her and notices that each time she steps onto a next step, the one below falls away and disappears. There's nothing behind her, only steps ahead. She can only go one way up, and she doesn't know where it leads or what it will bring. That's the spiritual journey. We don't know what's ahead, but we can't go back. Once we've encountered this way, there is only one path. But it's an unknown path. But that's the story of life. Yesterday is yesterday. And once it's lived, it's gone. It disappears. The implications and decisions and actions of yesterday, yes, will influence today and tomorrow and next week. But we can't go back and relive yesterday or last week or last year. They're gone. And the future will unravel, unfurl before us. But we can only live in this moment, on this step, this moment now. And that's what spirituality says. We don't know what is ahead, nor can we control it or own it or possess it. We can make our plans, our strategies, we can do all of that, but we don't know what it will look like. We can't predict or define or control what other people do. We can't define or control the ways of the earth and weather and climate and earthquakes and natural disasters. We can't control the conflicts and hatred and anger of people. Invasive armies and bombs and missiles that come into our land or take us hostage. We can't control the health issues that will confront us, that are there but we don't know. There is so much we can't control. And we need to let go and to live into this moment most fully. Instead of living out of fear and the need to know and be certain, we need to let go and trust. And it's to trust in this way of God. This God who is beyond all gods and all faiths and religions. This God who is, in one sense, mystery and unknowable, but deeply involved and with us. Who is love and justice and grace, and who is present in everything. Who holds our lives and is for us. We've been looking at the story of the Hebrew people who were slaves in Egypt under the oppressive regime of Pharaoh in Egypt, which is symbolic for all such regimes. And Pharaoh is symbolic of all such people. Vladimir Putin, who is a megalomaniac who wants to control more and more lands and people and uses armies and bombs and tanks to destroy and try and control and own and possess. And he's just one of many. These people, innocent people, were slaves to that. And they cried out to their God Yahweh, the God of their fathers and mothers, who gave them Moses as a leader, to lead them out. And they left Egypt, they wandered through the wilderness and across the Red Sea, learning the stories of faith and trust. When all looked grim, God provided a way. And kept them alive and surviving. When they knew not where to look for food, God showed them food, quail and this manna, bread-like substance in the morning. And that there was enough for everyone for today. And the lesson of God's economy, that there is enough for all people now. Not enough for our greed and our accumulation and stockpiling. And they were told, don't possess more than you need. Gather what you need for today. And tomorrow there'll be more, and the next day and next week and next month. There is enough. And they gather at the holy mountain Sinai, and Moses goes up, and this God is revealed in the thunder and lightning and wind and cloud and the forces of nature, the majesty. This God is revealed. And the voice of God is heard, and the 10 words, the 10 commandments go out. Love the Lord your God. I am the one who brought you out of Egypt. Don't have other gods before me. Don't bow down and worship other images that you create of God or other gods. Keep my name holy. Remember the Sabbath day. And then the relational commands of don't kill, don't steal, don't commit adultery, honour your parents, don't be jealous of your neighbour and desire what they have, or paint false pictures of them, gossip and slander. And they hear these, and they wait down the mountain. But Moses takes a long time to come down, and the God seems disappearing, mysterious and not there, not present. And the people get restless and anxious, and they go to Aaron, the second in charge, and say, Aaron, we want a God who will lead us. Moses seems to have disappeared. Where is this God Yahweh? Aaron, instead of putting them in their place and reminding them that this God brought them out of Egypt, across the Red Sea, has fed them and given them water. This God who gives them the commandments and has promised the new way, this new life, and is with them in some way. We need to trust and be patient and learn the way of faith. He compromises and he says, bring your gold. What is the most important commodity they have is gold, this precious metal, this metal that we seem to give great precious and value to. He collects all their earrings and rings and bracelets and necklaces, whatever else they've got of gold, melts it down and forms it into a calf, a golden calf or bull. And commentators are conflict and divided. They're not sure. Is this the bull of the Canaanite religion, the pagan religion of the land they'll go into? Is it a bull or the calf that reminds them of something in their own religion? Whatever it is, it's a metal statue. And Aaron builds an altar to Yahweh and puts the statue behind it. And the people dance around and worship this image. And in some way the God as well. It's a mixed thing. They imbue this golden calf with divinity. godlike qualities. But it's a God they control, a God they've defined, they've made, a God that they will give impetus to. And their priests will listen and define what's right, and it's a human religion. But it's what we do. Every day on the news, there's news of the economy, and it's revered and worshipped. And we appease the economy. We try and control it and define it and make it do what we want. We imbue objects with almost divine-like status, worshipping them, compulsions and addictions and seductions, the bigger and bigger car, the house, the cathedral, the mansion, the castle, the career, the status, the celebrity, the power, the authority, the control. We do it with one another, we do it with people, we do it with things, creating gods out of them and trusting them. And God is angry with the people. And Moses appeals to God for another way, another chance to help these people learn the way of faith, to let go, to understand that life is lived in letting go and trusting, of living into this moment, living in a way that is loving and inclusive and just and open. And in the New Testament reading this week, we hear a story from Paul, the continuing story, his letter to the church in Philippi. And he concludes that letter by saying, and so people rejoice. Rejoice in this God. Rejoice in this Lord. Rejoice in the God who holds you. Paul is this one who has experienced the law, and he's been held by the law, and he's been a fanatic for the law. He's serious, and in serving this law he is killed and imprisoned and persecuted. And in a blinding flash of light, Paul experiences a moment of enlightenment and transformation. And in his blindness he begins to see. He sees through the law and the religion and the religiosity of his life. And he lets go. And he realizes he has no control, that the law has no power, that he must trust in the God behind the law, the one to whom this law points, this one who gives life and hope to everything and everyone, the God that he worships. And Paul says, rejoice in this one, rejoice in this moment. Look at what is good and gentle and loving and kind and compassionate. Look to that which is good and rejoice. Have hope and share with one another. And he says, I've learned to live into what is good and hard. I make do with what is before me. And I am grateful. I'm grateful for the life I have, for the things around me, for the world and its beauty, and for the people I share it with. Rejoice and trust that in all things God will hold you. This is the path that God is trying to teach us and lead us into. The path of enlightenment and life and faith and hope. And it's for all of us. Will you follow in this way? This way of God, of Paul, of Jesus, of Moses, of the people. This way of Anthony de Mello and the great gurus and saints that teach us the way of the Spirit. Amen.